I wanted a monster movie. I got a monster movie. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome or welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about Godzilla, King of the Monsters, the third installment in... I don't know exactly what this is called. I haven't really been keeping up with what it's called, but Godzilla, King Kong, all of that kind of stuff, the Titans. Let's just say I wanted to go into this movie wanting monster movie, monster fights, and that's pretty much what I got. It was what I was expecting, and I was really okay with that. This movie, it's not the world's greatest movie, it's not the world's worst movie, it's just kind of okay. But this is also coming from someone who does not know a whole lot of backstory about Godzilla, King Kong, this whole universe. I've seen the Kong Skull Island movie. I did not see the 2014 movie. Going into this, I was kind of worried about that. And then when I started watching this, I really feel like I did not need anything to catch up on with that because they did give a lot of backstory, which I will talk about later on in this video. And I believe I have seen the original Godzilla film, but I do love a good disaster fighting movie. If you have seen my reviews of both Skyscraper and Rampage with The Rock, I really enjoyed those movies because they were exactly what I wanted going into them at that time. Big old disaster movies or big old monster-y movies. Pretty much that's what I was expecting for this, and I was very happy with that. The cast in this is pretty great. It's a very stacked cast, and I really enjoyed the acting from most people. There were a couple of people that I thought their parts were kind of written and forced to be a certain way, specifically Bradley Whitford's character. I mean, I know he was really funny in Get Out. The reason he was so funny was because of how straight he played the character, and everything around him made the way he portrayed his character so much more funny. In this movie, they tried to make him a little bit more of the comedic relief, which I was very worried about. From all of the trailers, I was very, very worried about him being the comedic relief scientist, and yes, that's what he was. And I really wish they had given the comedic relief to the actual comedian of the cast, Thomas Middleditch. It would have made for a little bit better, I think, of a dynamic between all of the characters, because this does have a lot of those very stereotypical character types. You have the very sciencey scientist, the comic relief scientist, the head of the army who doesn't want to do any, like, he wants to kill all the monsters, regular army soldiers who are there to help. You have kind of the hero type, which in this case is a dad who wants to save his daughter and his ex-wife, and you have the villain who is, of course, a British villain, and you have a younger kid, and there's also the scientist that saves everybody, or there is at least one character who has a very heroic moment, saves everybody, and ends up dying in that moment. And in this case, spoilers, there's two. And one last thing with the actors is Millie Bobby Brown. I haven't seen her in anything outside of Stranger Things. No, I have not. This is the first thing I've seen of her outside of Stranger Things. There are a lot of scenes in this, to me, that feel just like 11, and I don't know. I hope that she starts doing some more roles that are outside of this kind of 11 bubble that she is in. She may not look exactly like 11 or the way we have pictured 11 the past 2, soon to be 3 seasons, now that 11 is growing her hair out. She's crying, she's fighting big giant monsters, spoilers for the end of season 2. So it just feels a little repetitive for her, or a little bit typecasty for her. So something I want to loop back on is the fact that I did not watch the 2014 Godzilla movie. I probably should have going into this, but I think I was better off not seeing it before this because this movie is very exposition heavy. It does pull a lot, not too much from Kong Skull Island, but there is probably some stuff that I believe that they pulled from the first Godzilla movie into this and made it super exposition heavy. And in those parts, I feel like if I had seen the 2014 Godzilla movie, I would have been super bored and very annoyed with the film. I mean, those of you who have seen both the 2014 Godzilla and this one, you can let me know if that is true or not. But there were some parts that, to me, as a kind of third-party viewer of this that did feel a little exposition heavy. Something that I do know a little bit about in the Godzilla universe is in Japan, when Godzilla was first introduced, he was used as a way to be almost like an allegory for, is that the right word? Allegory? Anyways, he was used as kind of a way to talk about things like pollution and harming the planet, and he was used like that in this again, because a lot of why the monsters are coming back is to kind of null out the population, because the earth is becoming overpopulated and humans are kind of destroying the planet. So the Titans are wanting to come in and kind of make the world better again. Not necessarily that, but it kind of is a little bit of a way for the planet to reset itself, and they talk about that in the film. And I think that's a really interesting thing to think on, because we have been talking about global warming and climate change a lot recently, and I think that that is something that we are going to need to start dealing with, not necessarily with giant monsters and killing half the population, which seems like what a lot of movies are talking about nowadays with Infinity War and Endgame, and then now this. And finally, to wrap this all up, I want to talk a little bit about the character design for the monsters, which I absolutely loved, especially King Ghidorah and Mothra. They were just beautiful. If you put King Ghidorah on a platform kind of thing and just glued its feet down there and posed it in a specific way, it looked like something out of a D&D little minifig that you could paint. And I know that makes me sound like a nerd, even though I've never played D&D. I watch a lot of D&D. It definitely feels like something you would see from that. And Mothra was so beautiful, especially when she was fighting Rodan. Oh, this is kind of spoilers for the movie, but honestly, whoever is this far, you don't care about spoilers or even watch this much, but especially when Mothra comes out of the waterfall, out of the chrysalis, oh my god, it's so beautiful. I mean, of course, Godzilla is amazing, especially when he's doing his light show to kind of show off and do the, don't remember exactly what they called it, kind of make himself seem more threatening to his prey or to whoever he is standing up to. His spikes on his back start glowing, and he's kind of charging up, and his eyes are glowing, and he shoots a laser out of his mouth, and it's so cool. It's so beautiful. And then I also just absolutely loved all of the monster fight scenes. They were super awesome. Although sometimes when you were a little bit more to the ground facing, focused on one character, anything that had to do with the monsters surrounding them got a little bit hard to decipher what was happening or what monster was there or what monster was coming down on them. It was a little dicey in that part, but I think that's because they are on such a bigger scale than the humans are. I'll give it a little bit of leeway for that. I think that is just about everything, so it is time for my rewatch score. I would probably give Godzilla King of the Monsters a Netflix. Don't know how often I would watch this unless it was on Netflix. Like any, good monster movie, it's not one that I probably would purchase unless it's a $5 bin at Walmart type thing. There we go. Let me know your thoughts on Godzilla King of the Monsters in the comments down below. And for the no context question, let me know your favorite monster movie. And as always, I'm not going to explain what the no context question means anymore, because you all should know by now, those of you who get this far into the video. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really truly do appreciate you, whoever you are. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, if you like, and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking about things, movies, TV shows, filmmaking, mystery, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you next time. Bye!